evening to one and all present here. Curriculum is more than content, it is culture, character, and continuity. When we view Indian knowledge systems into education, we are not just teaching subjects, we are nurturing identity. We are delighted to welcome you all to day 3 of National Workshop on Reviving India's Traditional Knowledge System to Strengthen Human Capital for the 21st Century. Today's focus is on both timely and transformative topic, which is effective introduction of Indian knowledge systems and curricula in different domains.
Yes, as we delve into this theme, we reflect on this importance of integrating India's ancient wisdom into the modern educational framework, whether in science, humanities, or health, to create learners who are deeply rooted and globally competent. Before we proceed, it's our privilege to extend a warm and respectful welcome to the honorable guest who will grace today's session, our esteemed resource person, Dr. M.G. Sethuraman, Dean, School of Science, the Gandhigram Rural Institute, Dindakal, who will guide us through today's enlightening discussion. We welcome you, sir. Next, I welcome Dr. M. Prasanna Rajesh Kumar, our dynamic and forward-thinking principal, whose unwavering support continues to inspire us all. We welcome you, sir. Next, I extend my welcome Dr. Madan Shankar, whose thoughtful contributions have played a key role in making this workshop impactful. Welcome you, sir. Next, I welcome Dr. V.B. Malini, today's introduced chief guest resource persons, Dr. M.G. Sethuraman. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you. Dr. M.G.Sethuraman is accomplished academician and highly professional with over 30 years of experience, an alumnus of NIT Trichy and visiting scientist at the University of North Florida, USA. He is recognized for his academic excellence, research credentials, including 176 plus publications in reputed international journals and research for projects worth over 5.37 crores. Sir has guided 24 PhD scholars and coordinated the Lamilson Recognition Mentoring Program in collaboration with IIT Madras, funded by the Lamilson Foundation USA to promote innovation. Currently, he serves as Dean, School of Sciences at the Gandhigram Institute, Dindikal, overseeing teaching, research, and extension activity with a focus on quality assurance and outcome-based education. At GRI, he has held several key roles as Head of the Chemistry Director, IKS, Director R&D, Controller of Examinations, Registrar, and was part of interim administrative committee functioning as Vice Chancellor. Dr. Sethuraman serves as a nominee of President of India, Governor, Chancellor, and UGC Chairman, and academic bodies of institutions like IIT Patna, Pondicherry University, and Bharathasan University. He was nominated to the court of Pondicherry University by the Vice President of India. To add cake to his walk, his research contributions have earned him the National Mascot Award, Outstanding Research Scientist Award, and recognition among the top 2% of world scientists by Stanford University, Elsevier of 4 consecutive years. In the year 2024, he received the Award of Excellence for Meritorious Contribution in Research and Education from the Indian chapter of AMPP and Mid-Career Award by UGC under BSR scheme. Internationally, his notable contributions as well include reviving the Tondaman Technical Institute Sri Lanka, training science teachers in the central province of Sri Lanka through the Indian Deputy High Commission. As an expert in quality sustenance, he frequently serves as chairperson of NACPEER teams for institutional accreditation. A visionary leader, Dr. G. Sethuraman is known for designing society-driven industry curricula, promoting cutting-edge research, building impactful collaborations. With administrative expertise and ethical research practices, he continues to shape Indian academia through innovation and such excellence. Such expertise in the fields of education, I now proudly welcome Dr. M.G. Sethuraman to take over the session. We welcome you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, the principal of KSR College of Arts and Science, Dr. Madan Shankar, and my dear colleagues. Very good evening to all of you. I'm here to talk about an overview of IKS. Let me just take 2 minutes to share my PowerPoint. 1 minute. Okay. Are you able to see the slide?
Sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, your
I'm going to
screen
talk
is
about
visible, not.
screen is visible,
Yeah,
not?
now it's visible. Visible, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's visible,
Okay.
sir. Visible.
Okay. So it should be visible to everybody. Fine. So I'm just here to talk to you on Indian Knowledge System, IKS, past, present, and future. See, friends, we all talk about indigenous knowledge system, Indian knowledge system, traditional knowledge system. See, it is all like one and the same, almost like. See, it is a knowledge that people in a given community have developed over a period of time, which they continue to develop. See, this knowledge has not come out of universities or colleges or schools. It is based on experience. And one good thing is it is often tested over centuries of use. And it is all actually based on local culture and environment. We all have heard think locally and act globally. I would say that people in the Esther years, centuries back, have thought locally very much, and they have actually come out with some kind of knowledge which is useful for what even today's world. I would say that this indigenous knowledge system is actually not confined to tribals alone, as it is often mistaken to be, or it is not actually confined only to original inhabitants of that particular area. It is not actually confined to rural populace also. In fact, this IKS, indigenous knowledge system, includes all forms of knowledge, whether it is technology or know-how skill. It is not know-how skill, know-how skill, practices, beliefs, which enable the community to achieve stable livelihood in the environment. Friends, what is actually this? I was telling you about that there is a kind of what some people call it as traditional knowledge system, some people call it as local knowledge system. I won't say they are synonyms, but they are very much similar. There is a subtle difference. I'll come to that later. So, if you look at these kind of knowledge systems, these are all native systems of knowledge. They differ from international knowledge system. And if you look at the international knowledge system, primarily it is Western culture or Western knowledge system. And this kind of Western knowledge system has emanated from universities. It is all out of governmental initiatives. It is actually, they are born out of research centers, private industries. It is all like that. Majority think that Western knowledge is only European based. It is Eurocentric. It consists of two phases. People thought that every other piece of knowledge actually starts with Greece and it actually goes up to European triumph. And in fact, they did not welcome the influence of other countries, including India. So mostly it was European based knowledge system, which they projected as Western system of knowledge. They claimed superiority over all other systems of knowledge, which are actually native in nature. But I would say that Indian knowledge system is among the best knowledge systems we had. It is just not my view alone. If you look at Mark Twain, okay, he has said that India is a cradle of human race, the birthplace of human speech, the mother of history, the grandmother of legend, and the great grandmother of all world rich traditions, which means India is the torch bearer for rest of the countries. See, people think that Columbus discovered India and all that. India existed long time even before it was actually discovered by Columbus and his friends. So what I'm trying to say is we had our own system of knowledge. When all other people were talking, we were doing. So this land had rich heritage, a very long history, and the kind of scientific knowledge our people had was much superior. That is the kind of credentials we had as a nation in this country. Bharat has been a fertile land for arts, sciences, and technology from ancient times. In fact, just not it is not our see, people used to say reputation is not what one thinks of oneself. Reputation is what others think of us. We should not keep saying that ours is the best land and all that. Others should say and acknowledge that India is best. Indeed, foreigners too have accepted our contribution in various domains, be it engineering, philosophy, or science, or technology, medicine, agriculture, etc. So, philosophers and scientists have always acknowledged the role of Indians in various domains of knowledge. That is one thing. See, there is a kind of what? I mean, attempt to belittle Indian contribution to the world of science. I would say that marginalization of indigenous knowledge system really happened. You may ask me, when did it all happen? It all happened during British rule, and in fact, colonialism had created a kind of undeniable impact on Indian knowledge and educational practices. The kind of invasion that had taken place in the last 600 to 700 years had really destroyed our culture, had destroyed our art forms. The other day, we just had been to Konark. Most of the statues in Konark, the face was actually destroyed. It was defaced. Why should it happen? People had deliberately attacked. Okay, they wanted to actually what? Erase the cultural impact of our country. Okay, they wanted to, remove the various art forms and all that. I do not know whether it is out of jealousy or it was a deliberate attempt and all that, but we lost quite a good masterpieces. So significant Indian contributions were ignored or they were like shattered. British colonizers, they could never accept that Indians were highly civilized. Even in third millennium, while Britishers were still barbaric. See, at a time, our Indus civilization is very old. Our Kirdi civilization is much older. Our Adichanallur civilization is much older. Now, if you say that we had a kind of civilization tradition that really supersedes the kind of knowledge their counterparts in those days had, it is unbelievable, but that is the truth. Now, the Kiladi civilization, which really had what knowledge about iron or metallic use, really stuns all of us. So, that is the kind of contribution this country had. That is the kind of growth this country had. That kind of civilization we had in those days. British Indologists did not study indigenous knowledge system. They did not want to give credit to India. They recorded its systems competing with their knowledge system. Okay, but they quietly transferred all this for technology development in UK. So they tried to borrow it from us, and they just what customized it, and they actually what stuck label to it, and they called almost like it is a British contribution. Through fabricated history, see distorted history, we were made to believe that our knowledge is inferior to modern knowledge through Mercalli's system of education. I would say that Macaulay system of education was deliberately introduced to keep us stupid all the time. So all efforts for the marginalization of indigenous knowledge system continued even after independence, unfortunately. So there were not many attempts to unearth the kind of ancient system of knowledge we had. People did not actually give such, thought to see that the kind of knowledge existed, okay, can be further developed. So there was no encouragement to the indigenous thoughts at all. Aping the West was the kind of thought we had, as a result of which India paid a very huge price. So all our children are now under the impression that the science has come only from the West. They, only foreigners can do some kind of innovations. Only foreign people can have that scientific temperament. We are actually immersed only with superstitious beliefs. That kind of what thought has now come into existence. So this is the one of the drawbacks that we could see in the colonial impact. Now, what is the kind of system that we had? Ancient system of education we had in this country was on Vedas. Education was considered as Vidya. Vidya means education which actually brings out wisdom. We are not interested in getting knowledge, we were interested in getting wisdom. The Shastra or knowledge system in the context of Indian philosophy is a kind of documented knowledge which was transmitted for generation mostly orally. People really what saw to that distortions do not occur through oral transmittance. If you say a long sentence and if you pass it on orally from one person to another, like 10 people, the 11th person, if you call him, there will always be a distorted version. But to see that distortions don't happen, they actually had what is known as Kramapadam, where actually every sentence or every word was actually what? Twisted and folded and all that. People had carefully cherished, okay, every word of what they actually spoke. So, in fact, the kind of work you have seen in this country is something unparalleled. For example, the Banabhatta's epic work on Kadambari, which identifies 64 arts. Okay, it is a kind of good piece of education. Worldwide, it is now regarded as what? 64 kalas, 64 various branches of education. Okay, even a multicultural or a kind of university sometimes do not have departments which are actually exceeding 63. Okay, so but you have 64 different domains in which college the knowledge can actually shown. So what I'm trying to say is people were excelling in music, they were excelling in shastras, they were excelling in science, they were able to do so much in carpentry, in the area of medicine, engineering, communication, debating skills. So there are 64 different types of skills people had, and in each of this they were able to develop a kind of what learning system. That is the greatness of the ancient system of education. And in fact, we were actually ahead of all others in those days. And in fact, if you look at the ancient Indian contributions, still today we are able to what acknowledge the kind of contribution. For example, contribution of Aryabhatta in the world of astronomy, in the contribution of Brahmagupta, contribution of Bhaskara, they all have not been made known to the present students. Your astronomy, mathematics owes a lot to these kind of scientists. All of them are born in India, and this country really showed way for all others. Even the Indus civilization, they projected it only as a transplant from Mesopotamian civilization or Egyptian civilization. They never said that Indus civilization is the original one. They said that it is only a transplant. But now, the latest finding, your KD civilization or Adichanallur civilization, if it is properly projected, you will say that it has actually what? Overtaken even Indus civilization. To that extent, we had very ancient system of what? A very ancient civilization where people really flourished. They had what? Very active life. A kind of what? And a kind of what? Knowledgeable system, that really a knowledge society was there in those days. People really grew in stature, they grew in procedure, no, they grew in position, they grew in knowledge level. All that really had happened. While their counterparts in rest of the world were barbaric, we were much more civilized than others. India's intellectual elites were made to believe that India is feudalistic. People were made to believe that we were pre-rational. Only British invaded and refined us. That was the kind of impression we were made to believe. Please remember, ladies and gentlemen, descendants of Indian knowledge systems who built cities, who built technologies, who were able to have a dominated trade, they were delegitimized. Rajaraja, King Rajaraja Chola was away from India for about 13 years. Even after going out of this country for 13 years, he was able to what? Rule this Chola empire. How it was actually possible. So that kind of technology we had, and India was reduced only to an importer of goods, which was not really the truth. Please remember one thing: there were real problems. The problem is actually the aspects of Western thinking. Western civilization attempts at homogenization of human wants. The world itself was projected to be a materialistic world. We were made to go after materials. We were made to amass wealth. We were made to think that accumulation of materials is a sign of happiness. It was actually not so. World itself was actually made a materialistic world. So there was a kind of what? Inequality which had penetrated into the society. A group of one people trying to exploit another in the name of what? One a capitalist and then labor force, like that. So exploiting cheap labor, exploiting the natural resources available, all that they preached inequality. So materialistic world always produce divisions, always produced demarcations. It only kept people at various levels. It did not equalize them at all. I just only tell you one small thing. People asked, there was a question asked to Mahatma Gandhi: would you like India to develop a lifestyle similar to that of England? Was the question which was posed to our father of nation, Mahatma Gandhi. You know what Mahatma Gandhi said? Mahatma said, British had to plunder the earth to achieve their lifestyle. Just to be greedy, to have a lifestyle of their what preference, they actually conquered most of the countries in the world. Given India's population, it would require the plunder of many planets to achieve that kind of lifestyle. See, please remember, ladies and gentlemen, that it is just not the materialistic wealth that gives one happiness. A person need not have any materialistic properties at all, but still can live a happy life. There are thousands and hundreds of saints in this country who are living happily with the inner peace. They don't own anything. They don't actually have any materials, but still they are able to guide all others. They are able to emerge as Vishwagurus. That is the kind of lifestyle this country had preached to the rest of the world. If you look at the contributions of this great country, I would say that ancient Indian had knowledge about earth science. People could build temples across the nation. Go to Orissa, you can see hundreds of temples. Come to Tamil Nadu, there are hundreds of temples which are there. Forts of this country, whether it is a Jaipur Palace or Senji Palace, they are actually awesome, work. The castles which actually built, they all stand testimony to our knowledge in civil engineering. Even before they could invent cement, they were able to build structures. At a place where there are no rocks available, they were able to build temples which are, which have a great, a very, a greater height. How could they do all that? What is the kind of foundation engineering knowledge they had? People are not able to explain. But still, even today, you are able to see big temple of the Pragadishwara temple of Tanjavur or Meenakshi temple at Madurai. That stand testimony to the kind of building science knowledge that we had in those days. Please remember that India is a water-starved country, rain-fed country. And in places like Rajasthan and in some parts of northwestern region, it is only a rain scarce region. People were able to have kunds, berries, tankas, kadins, etc. So they actually reflect the eco-friendly lifestyles of Indians. They were able to store rainwater during the winter and use it during the summer. That is the kind of knowledge. what kind of structures they have built. If you look at the structural engineering knowledge, they had number of this. See, every civilization in Tamil Nadu, if you look at, it is all centered around the temple. You had a temple tank. The temple tank served as a drinking water source for many. So, like that, people really had some knowledge of storing the rainwater. So, rainwater harvesting structures were known in those days. There were texts like Krishi Parashar, Brihat Samhita, which really tells about the techniques of various organic farming processes. Vedic agricultural practices advocated the natural farming practices. And there is actually a kind of science, medical science, which is there in this country, Ayurvedic science of science. The contribution of Charaka, Sushruta, they are helpful even during the pandemic. People know now if you go to US, people are really, familiar with the rasam and such other kind of concoctions. How are they made? They still believe that it is a kind of remedy for syndemic or pandemic. So that is the kind of knowledge this country had. So Ayurvedic system of knowledge really was helpful in combating diseases across the country. Now again, metallurgy. Go to a place called Nachiyar Kovil near Tanjavur or Kumbakonam in Tamil Nadu. They are able to make what? The puja materials, be it a bell or other kinds of utensils, which are used for, puja purposes. At a time when they were not, when others were not able to have enough knowledge on metals, people prepared alloys here. They were able to melt and what? Combine copper with, iron and all that. They were able to make zinc and iron alloys. All that they were able to do. British even went to the extent of making metal work illegal in this country so that they can go ahead with the industrialization of British. They were really stunned when they saw the kind of implements people could make out of iron in this country, the kind of weapons people could make out of iron in this country. So that is the kind of metallurgy knowledge our people had. Okay, if you go to a place called Tirupachi, you will know how sharp weapons could be made out of iron and stainless steel structures. So all these things had come from one generation to another. So it is not a kind of bookish knowledge they had. They had a practical knowledge of it. For generations, they knew the art. They had actually learned out of it. They refined the science and they were able to excel in that particular domain. Textiles. The Indian way of dyeing with indigo was copied by Western countries. And in fact, they had gone to the extent of isolating, banning the isolation of indigo. In fact, in parts of Bihar and Orissa, they went to the extent that in indigo containing plants, you should not go for extraction. It should only be exported to British people to that extent. And they say that this indigo has got links with our liberation movement, independence war. Okay, so to that extent, indigo and chemistry had played in the what? Independent struggle. Now, shipping. People like Rajaraja Chola sailed up to Philippines. They had gone to Cambodia. In fact, temples were built there in Cambodia. Shipping technology was actually known. For months, they had traveled in sea. Okay, they did not have the fuel and all that, but they knew the technology of how to build a ship, how to sail in the hard weather. All that they knew. Again, now people, the sociology people, others are teaching corporate social responsibility. But if you go to Arthashastra or if you just go into probe into Vedas and Mahabharata, there are lessons on corporate social responsibility. There is a book, I do not know how many of you know that, Management Principles of Tirukkural. Okay, even Tirukkural has many management thoughts. So to that extent, the present day management, okay, thoughts have been very clearly spelled out in two blind Tirukkural itself some 2000 or 3000 years back. Again, Texts like Arthashastra and Manusmriti, they gave a deeper understanding of the social construct of ancient India. Many of the Manusmriti, preachings probably we may not be able to accept at the present time in 2025 and all that. But okay, the kind of social construct that existed in that period, that was actually revealed by these two texts. There was actually Panchayat Raj system. This Panchayat Raj system is actually from ancient wisdom. We had our own system of grassroots governance, functioning of small provinces under a large kingdom that ensured efficient governance. We had Dakshashila, which really hosted 101 princes and 400 scholars from many countries. Only now we are used to conferences, workshops, and symposia and all that. Dakshashila had a conference of 101 princes across the world. So, to that extent, deliberations, brainstorming sessions were held in those days. Gurukula system of education ensured discussion. One-to-one discussion was there. Nowadays, people say that we should have a smaller classroom, effective mentor-mentee system should be there. So all this was actually ensured through Gurukula system, where Guru stayed along with the Guru, the Shishya stayed along with the Guru. So in fact, they all were one, and there was no actually demarcation at all between the Guru and the Shishya, as a result of which learning was taking place, to the extent teaching was taking place. Now, if you see, teaching is taking place, there is no learning at all. Okay, but that gap between teaching and learning was narrowed by the Gurukula system of education, which really existed in those years. Again, India had a unique Vedic mathematics system. I would say that it is a single most contribution. The kind of value system, place value system, the decimal system, the algebra, trigonometry, calculus, everything had its origin only from India. It is a birthplace of mathematics, I would say. To that extent, our people had what? I mean, uh, excelled in mathematics. But it is a kind of what? A tragedy now that many of the colleges are closing BSc mathematics and MSc mathematics for want of candidates. For disciplines like physics and mathematics, there are no takers. In a class of 50, there are only 5, 6 students. Many self-financing colleges are closing the mathematics department or physics department. But we had experts in mathematics. We had experts in astronomy. Okay, all that. So without astronomy, without Vedas, there is no mathematics, no physics. So to that extent, we had contributed in the earlier years, but the tragedy has stuck now. But it's all a cycle. Probably we will regain. We had a kind of system called yoga system, where people had physical, mental, and spiritual practice. And people used to have such things like stress, anxiety, and all that. Every day, even a child which is going to the school says that she is stressed. Okay, and anxiety management has become a kind of counseling session for all college students now. The moment you have the test timetable given to the students, anxiety sets in. But yoga is the remedy for it. Okay, even elderly people are now resorting to yoga. So whole world International Yoga Day is celebrated. So to that extent, what has actually started in India has been glorified to the entire world now because of the kind of benefits you reap out of this particular, yoga. Another thing is Vastu Shastra. We don't really believe much about it, but there was a system of science called Vastu Shastra, where people were able to correlate principles of energy and harmony and all that. Some people may differ, okay, on this, but let us not deliberate on that. But there was a kind of science which actually existed then. They were able to correlate the principles of energy and kind of harmony and ahimsa. This was actually Indian invention to the whole world. When people thought that wars could only be brought through weapons, India taught to the entire world that war can be actually fought even without weapons, with only ahimsa. Truth and ahimsa are the two strategies India preached to the entire world. So that is the Kantian philosophy, which really made people think, can this country ever get an independence? Was what thought once people had. In 1947, Mahatma Gandhi proved to the entire world that by mere non-cooperation, by mere practicing ahimsa, one can get what independence. And this country proved to the rest of the world that without any weapons, without any bloodshed, one can get what peace. One can actually go for independence. That is our contribution. Traditional ecological knowledge, the kind of communities that we have, okay, the kind of knowledge of the communities on the local ecosystems, that is really amazing. So we had a very fine ecological knowledge. I'll tell you, there is a kind of belief. Every tree was actually regarded as a god. People were afraid to cut the tree because they are harming the god. To that extent, they preserved nature. Okay, if you are having a neem tree, they say that immediately the neem tree should not be cut because it is actually a god which resides in neem tree. If it is a river, they say it is Mother Ganga. So don't try to pollute it. That is the kind of people, thinking people had. Okay, so people worshipped the nature. They worshipped the trees. They worshipped the hills. They worshipped the water bodies. So that is the kind of approach our people had. Indigenous knowledge, flora and forest. Indigenous knowledge in the flora is as old as ancient scriptures. India's tribal communities were living in very close proximity to villages. Oneness was with village, with nature was practiced by all villages. People had built houses in the middle of the forest. Along with what wild animals, they were living a peaceful life. Peaceful coexistence was there. Now, in the name of development, we are actually what tarnishing. We are actually destroying the nature. Now, there is a struggle between development and environment. This was not there. See, development in consonance with environment was the slogan of yesterday. Now, what development at the cost of environment has become the order of the day. Nearly 8.2% of the total population was tribal population. But our country had recorded 18,000 flowering plants. They did not have the formal language of formal botany knowledge, but they had recorded the use of 18,000 flowering plants. 75,000 species of animals were recorded. 340 species of mammals were recorded. 1,200 kinds of birds were there. 420 reptiles were there. 2,000 fishes were there. You go to any fisherman, ask him to name the fish. He will have at least 100 or 150 varieties of fish named. So that is the kind of knowledge our people had on botany or zoology or on biology. So that is the kind of what knowledge system we had in these natural science. Ethnic groups have gathered considerable knowledge about the use of plants. There is a new discipline called ethnobotany, which is becoming famous. There is a new discipline called ethnomedicine, which is becoming famous. People go to their villages, they try to get the tribal knowledge, and they try to correlate the present knowledge of phytochemistry with that of the tribal knowledge. So ethnic science is now merging with the modern science. To that extent, science is growing. But the ethnic groups had knowledge based on IKS about out of their experience they had recorded. So even the Dasavaradharam describes evolutionary concepts. The 10 avatars of God describes various evolutionary concepts. So natural medicines, foders, foodstuff, pesticides, fibers, they all have been documented. Ladies and gentlemen, the kind of knowledge this people of this country had in those days, it is amazing. But unfortunately, all this kind of knowledge were destroyed. We were made to believe that we are stupid. We were made to believe that we did not have that kind of knowledge. The British aggression really made us forget the kind of what knowledge system we had in those areas, in those days. Ladies and gentlemen, I would say that it is time that we stress the importance of indigenous knowledge system. It is just not this country which alone does this. People of Spain are developing their knowledge system. People of Australia, they have their own they are developing their knowledge system. Every country, what, feels proud about the kind of contribution they have made through their own ethnic groups. So it is time that we also, it is not living in the past. Okay, connecting the future with the past is the, kind of approach that we should make. It is not, there is a criticism that what is big about thinking of the past? Are we going to be without electricity? Are we going to be without any proper road? Can you just live in a hut forever, leaving your apartments? Can you move? That is a kind of question that is asked. We are not here. We are not asking you to go back to 2000 years back. We only say that this is the kind of what knowledge we had. So we have to take forward to see that we are ahead of all others as they were doing it in those days. So this IKS system promotes a knowledge, a holistic, a culturally responsive approach to education and solving of issues. People really had practiced. So best practices of indigenous knowledge systems are time tested. In fact, it offered a diverse and adaptable approach. See, people never destroyed environment at all. The IKS is for the preservation of environment. It led to a kind of environmentally conscious approach. People never destroyed trees. People never actually built houses in in water bodies as we do today. We are greedy. They actually satisfied the needs not through a greedy approach. It actually led to the development of appropriate technology. See, I'll tell you, this is not, see, the kind of, greediness that we have now. There is a kind of war that we are waging against the environment. We are waging a war against nature. As a result of which, what happens is there is a kind of what? The world is becoming slowly unlivable. Man animal conflict has begun. Man nature conflict has begun. There is, see, man wants to be what? He thinks that he should be the only entity living in this world. He thinks nobody else should have the right to live. He wants to destroy every other what animal, every other plant. To that extent, we have become greedy. So what I'm trying to say is this IKS helps in the development of global perspectives in various issues. Please remember one thing: people of yesteryears, they had, they were thinking that world is just not for winners alone. World is for everybody. Okay, they thought that, or they planned in such a way that world is for everybody. The weaker should also live. Stronger should also exist. Now we have got a strategy where only stronger people exist, weaker people are destroyed. That is not the kind of perspective that we should have in 2025. Now, what people had was they were able to create new career opportunities. They were able to reduce the cost. They were able to see that financial implications do not affect the normal human life. Every other approach was people centric. It was actually what? The nature centered approach which people were talking about. So that is the importance of indigenous knowledge system. Unfortunately, we had lost everything. The other day, I just had a group of people native to Tiruvannamalai coming to me, and they were saying that we had palm leaves, manuscripts, which are more than 1,200 in numbers. Like we lost it over the years, but unfortunately, we have come to know that it is all housed somewhere near Pondicherry. I was very curious to know how it actually had gone. They were saying that through the invasion and all that, see, it is all in our generation. We have come to know that these kind of things all existed. There is some kind of reference that it is all available in Tiruvannamalai and other places and all that. But they say that we have found out these kind of palm leaves are what available in certain other people belonging to Pondicherry. No, then we said, why don't you just try to nationalize all that? See, they say there are some problems. Why I'm saying is now every attempt, every small attempt is made to see that the lost glory is regained. Okay. See, sometimes the kind of knowledge that had existed have become outdated. Doesn't matter. But if they are relevant even today, why don't we build up on from that onwards? That is the kind of approach one should have. See, I would say that it is time that we start gathering information about the various what systems of knowledge which existed. So prior to COVID, people did not think about Kabasara Kudineer at all. The moment you had what your chikungunya or like other pandemic stuck, immediately we go in for Kabasara Kudineer. So their indigenous system, Siddha system of knowledge really came and helped. And thousands of people also got cured because of various viral infections can be cured by this kind of decoction. So what I'm trying to say is, see, we had not capitalized out of it. See, during my discussion with one of the foreign groups, they asked me, see, you say that you got Siddha system of medicine, Unani system of medicine, Ayurvedic system of medicine. Why did you not develop hybrid system of medicine? Was the question asked. I had not thought about that at all till then. Why don't you combine the best elements of Ayurvedic, Siddha, and Unani, club it with your modern allopathic medicine, and bring something of your own? Why didn't we do it? See, some kind of reluctance. Okay, anything which is Indian is you should look down upon, was the kind of attitude our people had during the pre-independent days. Unfortunately, the same thought was there even after independence. As students, as youngsters, we were made to look down upon anything which is actually Indian. So people, anything which is imported, which is from other country, we regarded it as a high value goods or what, it has got a better benefit and all that. Anything which is native, we did not actually encourage at all. That was the kind of mistake we had. We can't be blamed, we cannot be blamed for this kind of attitude. It is thrust on us. Okay, so what was there for 300 years, it still continues for about another 60 to 70 years. So what I'm trying to say is our thing is, it is just going like that. Okay, fine. Next, so we should have the documentation of IKS. Basically, we are all academicians. So as an academician, what is that we do? We need to really create materials. We have to actually produce the what? Source books for the various knowledge. All that is really needed. So how does it happen, or how do you get it? So that is actually done by various systems of approach. One is participatory approach. See, there are still in villages where 95 plus individuals are there who are these aged people are able to recall the experiences. So participatory approach through individual and group interviews is one. And we should be able to get their observations. We should be able to do analysis on their views. So this kind of participatory approach involving various individuals and groups should be undertaken by the departments. A kind of interdisciplinary knowledge should come out of it. People of Tamil should actually, they should join hands with sociology, political science, and all that, and should start attacking the problem. Unfortunately, the various departments in academic institutions like ours, we are in distinct silos. We don't have a combined focused approach. As a result of which, a targeted approach is not there. So if we leave this kind of isolated strategies, and if we have a concerted approach, probably we'll be able to do much better. This is one. And again, we all go to villages, observe certain things, and sometimes they forget and all that. See, there are institutions which are claiming that they are very good in village level activities. They say that extension is their backbone and all that. But if you ask them how many MPhil problems and PhD problems have come out of their village experience, many of us are not able to say. Especially in the area of social science, there should be enough and more opportunities for academicians to get some kind of PhD problems or research problems from the society. Please remember, our villages are the social laboratories. Everything is undergoing a change. See, people about 20 years or 30 years back thought that living in a village is very difficult task. It's a curse to live in a village. At least Zoho has now proved that a village near Tenkasi can rule the entire world. They never thought that living in a village is a disadvantage. They never thought that living in a village is a curse. He proved, your Vembu, Sridhar Vembu, proved to the entire world that still sitting in a village, you can really connect to the rest of the world. Your what? Village can be linked to the major cities also and can contribute to the growth of the village. I had been to one of the colleges in Coimbatore suburbs. I just visited their startups. In one of the startups, I could see that it is there in a village, okay, near Western Ghat mountain. Sitting in a small 8 by 8 cubicle, they were able to control the transport system in Tenambatte circle in Madras. Tenambatte traffic's junction signal is controlled by a suburb what college in Coimbatore. So, like, you can't say that it is a village level knowledge and all that. See, people should not really think that way. See, science itself is undergoing a change. Previously, we had a discipline like management. Now, management is not really called as management discipline. It is called as decision science. There is a new name for management, decision science. The very fact you people don't call it a social science. It is called citizen science. Social science, the new name is citizen science. So that is the kind of new terminologies which people adopt these days. So when you go to a village, don't stop with interacting with people. Try to just get out of it. Every visit of you to the village should lead to a kind of video, should lead to a kind of document, should lead to a kind of literature which really speaks about the value of that particular village. It can be in vernacular language, it can be in English, or it can be in any other language. See, try to have indigenous experts. Try to find out what they really mean out of it. Try to do analysis on the kind of knowledge they had. And try to just get the opinion on these kind of village level professionals. See, I'll tell you, we had been to a village near Gandhigram about a few years back as part of our village camp, village placement program. We had one native doctor, okay, who treats cows and bulls. By looking at the cow, he is able to diagnose what kind of disease the cow has. By just looking at its mouth and looking at its activity, the way it sleeps and all that, he is able to predict. Our veterinary people sometimes are not able to say or come to that kind of conclusion as quickly as this local medicine practitioner. But still, his predictions are very, very accurate. It is not my view, the villagers' view. So when I was asking them, why don't you go for MBSc trained veterinary doctors? He said that without any testing, this man is able to have it cured within 3 days or 4 days with the help of herbs. So they were saying. So they were able to actually establish themselves. They were able to generate public opinion also in favor of them. They were able to what? Create a kind of brand value for themselves. Only thing is they don't really have helping hand from all of us, from the society, from the government, like the way it should have been. Only now slowly that has come up. So we should conduct dissemination of workshops. All these years, we thought that workshops is only for researchers, for academicians and all that. We should create workshops for the general public also. It should be a kind of awareness program for all of us. We should be able to write books. We should be able to come out with monographs. We should be able to come out with treatises, inventories, films, videos, audios. All that should be there. See, I'll tell you, a 8-year-old village, boy was able to come out with a small video. Okay, on a kind of a Mariamman festival that the village had. There were some unusual practices which this boy had captured in the video. When an 8-year-old boy is able to do it, why can't we academicians do it? Why is that we are not able to come out with monographs? Why is that we are not able to make films or audios? It is time that we record everything. Maybe the kind of, experienced person who may not be living today, or who is living today may not live tomorrow. So it is time that we don't wait. It is time that we don't, lose any opportunity to see that we have effective interaction with them, bring the best out of people, and their experiences are documented, and that is actually what made into a kind of what treasure for future generation. So documentation is very much required. Now you may ask me, see, why people suddenly talk about this? See, there is, as I told you, sometimes a society cannot for long think that it is stupid. Okay. See, we should be proud of our culture. We should be proud of our heritage. We should be proud of our civilization. Only then the self-esteem will go up. When the self-esteem goes up only, the boy will just what? Meet and face the whole world as a what? With that kind of confidence and what? This, enthusiasm. So, naturally, the new education policy or national education policy, which is recently introduced, that highlights the significance of integrating indigenous system of knowledge into the education. So, it stresses on the importance of preserving and promoting rich cultural heritage. So, there is a kind of what? Emphasis on integration of IKS into the curriculum. In fact, the national education policy says that we have to have a course on indigenous systems of knowledge. 2 credits has to be introduced at the undergraduate level. But they are little flexible in nature. They don't give one particular syllabus alone. They say that if you are a mathematics, make them learn about Vedic mathematics. If they are actually, biology students, make them know about Bharatavarsha. If you have physics, make them know about Indian astronomy. If they are PSC Agri students, you make them teach about what? Indian agriculture. If he is doing MBBS, let him know about Indian health science. If he is civil engineering student, let him know about Indian architecture and town planning. So like that, Indian fine arts, Indian textiles. So everything which is Indian has to be taught. Now you may ask me, say, are things available? Things may not be available. It will be available in random way. As academicians, you have to put everything, give a shape, give some 5 units. Okay, put enough thought and all that. Streamline it. Okay, structure it in such a way that you can give it as a course. Okay, it is not a job of a student to see it. It is a job of academicians like you and me. So we know what is there. So try what is available in bits and pieces. You try to structure it, give a shape to it, so that it can be offered as a course. That is what is actually needed. So, ladies and gentlemen, one useful thing that you have to do is you for every subject, okay, linking your subject with the indigenous knowledge system. Try to make a small paper out of it for about what? About 30 hours or 25 hours. Okay, so that will be really useful to everybody. So, how to integrate indigenous knowledge system into higher education system? I'll tell you, we have to develop curriculum. We are developing curriculum for many of the things. Okay, see, for such knowledge systems like which you were not familiar with, we had earlier gone for syllabus. For example, gene technology was actually known to India only for the past 25 years. The moment gene technology had become popular in Western world, we started aping it. It is not aping which is very important. What is here, that kind of science also, we should be able to transform that into a kind of structured knowledge system. So development of curriculum of the indigenous practices is very much required. One. Second, all may not be good at it. A few can probably do it. So those who are motivated, those who want, who can structure that into a kind of curriculum, they should be encouraged. In fact, people should be able to get sabbatical leave for developing curriculum on IKS. I would say that training of teachers is another important thing. In a workshop like this, or refresher course like this, or orientation program, one should really have lectures or sessions on indigenous knowledge systems where teachers are exposed to this kind of knowledge systems. And you'll have to also popularize pedagogical practices. You evolve new pedagogical practices, combining the best elements of computer science with the best elements of yesterday's knowledge. So that is what is actually needed. Then development of teaching resources, preparation of textbooks, we need to do it. Infrastructural, instructional materials, we need to develop. Digital resources, we have to develop. So all this requires time, patience, money, everything. So we need to do that. So let us all do this kind of what? I mean, preparative work. Okay, each teacher can take up one small assignment. Integrate at the department level. Try to deliberate 2 or 3 times. Make it one paper. Offer it for 2 years. Refine it with a kind of input or from the stakeholders. So that way you can develop that into a subject. Research strategies on IQS for identification of best practices and areas for improvement. See, world is witnessing a global climate change. What is required now is to stop that kind of change. How do you do that? We had practices in the earlier years to see that our life is in consonance with the kind of climate that existed. So we had certain practices during winter, certain other practices during summer and all that. So if you only adhere to those kind of practices, you will still be able to pull on. The moment you start violating, please remember one thing, one can only imitate nature. You cannot excel nature. With our efforts and technology and all that, man is able to mimic nature. He cannot excel nature. Any attempt to excel, can you ever beat the sunshine of sunshine? You can't. Over millions of years, sun has come to that nature. I want to prepare a kind of source which equals the performance of sun. I can probably do it. If I want to better the performance of sun, I can't do it. You will not be there existing. You can't go anywhere near. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is we have to develop a kind of system which goes well with the nature so that the what? The modern day problems are also effectively tackled. Collaboration and partnership. See, this is very, very important. What is native to this country, you have to share it with other countries. The best practices, eco-friendly practices that we had in this country, it should be made available to other countries. A global knowledge system has to evolve. See, people are thinking that we have to start saying about Jai Hind and all that. See, this country really had that kind of knowledge system. We were the one which actually preached Vasudeva Kudumbakam. We were the one which said that it is actually Jai Jagat. Okay, so that is the kind of feeling that we had for our brotherhood. I mean, brethren and other nations or other continents or countries. So what I'm trying to say is there should be effective collaboration with other partners, be it in America or Africa or Europe. Okay, with those universities and governmental and non-governmental agencies and experts, there should be collaboration. And this partnership that we have with them should result in what? Integration and what? Improvement of indigenous knowledge systems. This is very, very important. Now you may ask me, what is the kind of technological intervention that we can give to the promotion of Indian knowledge system today? Today's world is digital world. Every student who is now studying under us are digital natives. We are all digital immigrants. So we cannot see if you give a cell phone to a person who is 50 plus, we can easily find out the age. By the way he struggled with the mobile phone, you can find out one's age. If he is 50 plus, he will find it difficult to download. He will find it difficult to send a message. All that. Your children, 6 years old, 8 years old, They are able to do all that. What a 50-year man cannot do, a 8-year-old or 10-year-old boy is able to do that, because he is spending his time with digital resources. So what is needed is digitalization of ancient manuscripts. Digitalization of ancient and manuscripts. That is one. Then develop online courses. Today, anytime, anywhere, learning has come to existence. You have online educational platforms. Coursera is there, Udemy is there, Swayam is there, NPTEL is there. So many online platforms are there. Try to have online platforms, education platforms, okay, developed with IKS content. Develop multimedia tools, videos, infographics. Our people say that what is the like a digital way of educating? There are still teachers who say that I am showing PowerPoint. PowerPoint is my grandfather's way of innovation. Now it is all multimedia. Okay, if you say I am going for PowerPoint, nobody will believe you. So you have to go for multimedia presentations, go for videos, go for infographics. So that kind of tools that we should go. And podcasting has become on the order of the day. Boy is sitting in the class, the entire proceedings of the class is actually what? Podcast through the mobile to somebody else in some other college. Okay, his friend or girlfriend, whoever it is. So educational videos from channels like Sangam Talk, Vega Mysteries, they are all there. So why don't we add one to that collection? That is one thing. Today, short clips have come. Reels have become popular. YouTube presentations have become very much known to everybody. Facebook has become the ideal medium for everybody. There is nobody, no, there is no student now who is not who is not enrolled in Instagram or Facebook. So through that, one can take IKS to the present day youth. Online archives, National Digital Library is there. Okay, so through that also you can do it. Sharing the experiences with legends, walk the talk program, all that we should start doing it. Take a video of it. So all this has to come into limelight. So every other effort by college teacher is required for the development of indigenous knowledge system, and all that will be duly regarded in even CAS promotion and all that in if you are in a institution like KSR. Okay, there are e-learning platforms also which are supporting the IKS. For example, there are courses in Swayam, there are courses in Coursera, Udemy. Okay, they provide courses on philosophy, religion, culture. I do not know how many of you know. There are certain, there are certain universities which are actually offering in MA in Christianity or MA in Hinduism and all that. So they have actually IKS materials, embedded. So Swayam IKS applications in engineering, it is there. Video storytelling is there. YouTube stories are there. E-Padasala is there. E-PG Padasala is there. Shudganga presentations are there. Vikaspedia is there in Diksha platform. Okay, so that is all an open education resource. So number of open education resources are available. Now students are interested in game-based learning. Game-based apps have come. Indic roots have come. Vedic mathematics India has come. Vedantu apps are there. So they are able to develop these kind of game-based applications. Students of computer science are able to bring everything through simulation-based experiences. Simulation-based learning has come. Interactive museums people are able to create. Virtual tours we are able to generate. Immersive learning experiences we are able to create. AR, VR technologies have come hand. Augmented reality, virtual reality has become the order of the day. So all these are the various ways through which one have indigenous knowledge system integrated into the curriculum. As engineering teachers, as arts and science teachers, we can really contribute through all this. World will remember you. Academic arena will remember you. The college will reward you. You will be one of the first to contribute most in this IKA system. So I would say that it is better that we start doing in this area. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me make it very clear. I'll try to wrap up in another 5 minutes or so. See, we say that India is a developing nation. India is not a developing nation at all. It is a redeveloping nation. It is a redeveloping nation. We had everything. There were people from other parts of the world who came, got benefits out of it. They looted us, they exploited us, they actually spoiled our resources. They gained, the nation stood to lose. Okay, so it is time that we contribute for redevelopment of this particular nation. So that is number one. Again, there is a criticism that we are only talking about the proud past. It is time that we combine the best elements of the proud past to the future that we have. So nation should get back its lost glory. That is one. There is a kind of system which is there. A Bharatiya culture is being projected now. An eco-friendly atmosphere that people are talking about. A people-centric policies and strategies and technologies are becoming popular. A kind of symbiotic, given win-win situation is there, which promotes sustainable living. A kind of conflict that you have between development and environment should go. A kind of oneness with the environment should emerge. Okay, for which you should go for IKS. Okay, so the kind of what? I mean, natural environment, naturally what? Natural processes, organic farming, everything is now becoming organic. That is the goal towards which the whole society is moving. Having seen the bad effects of globalization, having seen the bad effect of industrialization, okay, what is the alternative that we have? It is, if we don't wake up now, we will never be able to do it. If we don't have to just turn back and appreciate our past, we will never be able to do it. So people have slowly started gaining knowledge, okay, which existed in those days. So try to modernize that, combine the best elements of today's knowledge with that, and see that there is an emergence of new system. That is what is being now projected. Revival of traditional technologies, complementing modern development schemes that will put the nation on the right track. See, we know one small experiment in some corner of China, how it affected the entire world. One DNA manipulation in one small laboratory could make the world stand still. Okay, that is the harmful effect of modern technology. Did our ancestors, our predecessors do that kind of system? They did not have. They had a thought, Loka Samasta Sugino Bhavantu. Everybody should live what? At peace. Okay, with happiness in this world. That was the kind of thought people had in this country. That is the kind of thought we should promote. So what I'm trying to say is revival of technology has to take place at this one. Emergence of society with high self-esteem is the need of the hour. See, our youngsters should say that when you are, where are you from? Okay, at one time, people thought that people were saying, are you from the land of Satyajit Ray? Are you from the land of snake charmers? Are you from a land of magicians? That was the kind of question people were throwing at Indians. We were looked down upon as a land of snakes and land of magician and witch hunt and all that. We were never regarded as people with wisdom. Now, whole world turns into us. Whether it is satellite launching or Akash missile technology, we are second to none. That is the kind of what? I mean, proof that we have given either through our Sindoor operation or through other modes. So what I am trying to say is our society, younger generation, should proclaim to the entire world that we are second to none. So I just would like to wrap up my lecture with a small story. Gentlemen, years back, M.S. Swaminathan came to our institute. You know, M.S. Swaminathan is a what? Agriculture scientist. When he was in ICAR, people from a foreign delegation, they cornered him. Next year is going to be a year of famine. Your country people are going to die without food. How are you going to do, what are you going to do as a scientist? They asked him. M.S. Swaminathan was a very patriotic scientist. He never wanted to to speak bad about India. He said that we are coming out with some kind of research on a new variety. By that time, we will release that variety. This country will see a green revolution, he said. And he saw to that a green revolution happened in this country. Such a distinguished agricultural scientist came to Gandhigram. At that time, there was some problem with Parthenium plant. Parthenium was creating some allergy. So there was there was a news item in every other newspaper about the kind of toxic effects of Parthenium. It affected the cattle, it affected the human skin and all that people thought. So one of the news reporters approached M.S. Swaminathan. I was also present at that time near M.S. Swaminathan. They asked him, like, what solution you suggest for combating the Parthenium plant menace? That was the question posed to M.S. Swaminathan. When M.S. Swaminathan was contemplating to give an answer, one of our professors immediately said, in one of the American textbooks, he said, he started saying with this, in one of the American textbooks, he started saying, M.S. Swaminathan cut him short. Professor, don't talk about American textbooks. You can't find solution in American textbooks for Indian problems, he said. Please do not find solutions for Indian problems in American textbooks. Our problems are unique. So we need to find solutions which are native in nature, he said. I was asking him, what is a native solution for the Parthenium menace? You know what is the native solution? If you grow one tamarind tree, for about 15 meters radius, there will not be any Parthenium plant at all. That is the Indian way of solving Parthenium menace. Look at the way how a scientist has thought. So for every problem in India, we have our own solution. We don't require a third party for finding a solution to our problem. Okay, so we know that the solution exists within ourselves. So indigenous knowledge systems offer enough and more solutions for many of our problems. So if we start looking into that, probably we will again become what? Number one in the world, and we will emerge as Vishwaguru. The day we become Vishwaguru is not really far off. Vikshit Bharat, dream will be naturally a reality based. So, some problem in the mic, somebody has this. So let me wind up my lecture saying that Indian knowledge system has to grow. As academicians, you have got a lot of things to do. So we'll have to develop courses, we'll have to bring technologies into it and integrate effectively IKS with the present system. Thank you all for your presence and patience. I'll be too happy to answer your questions if there are any. So over to you for the questions. I'll leave about 7 minutes for you to ask questions. Back, Ponga. Any questions, sir?
Participants, any questions?
Hope you are able to listen to me, appreciate and all that. தேவையா கேள்வின்னு கேக்குறீங்களா?
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much for a very thought-provoking and as well as the future actually plans and what academician has to do for the development of IKS and a holistic way of Indian life. Thank you very much, Professor Sethuraman, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sir, with regards to your presentation, 3 points I just wanted to know. In one of the slides, In one of the slides, you had mentioned the earlier societal setup as well as our indigenous knowledge gave way for new career opportunities and reduce costs and financial implications.
Yes.
And people-centric and nature-centric solutions were provided. The people-centric and nature-centric approach and the overall sustainability aspect, I find a common thread. And to a great extent, the simple lifestyle, like today, what we are achieving by keeping ACs, people used to have architecture to cool down in the heat and warm up in the cool climates. So I understand to an extent to that, but career opportunities, are you
Sir,
referring to the
yeah.
festivals and other occasions where new types of offerings and other aspects were giving opportunities for people to work on? Like in many places, we have this ter. So people build, the communities build their own ter every fresh every year, and
Excellent,
especially in
excellent.
Kerala, we find that. So that's a career opportunity. And what other aspects do you
Sir,
have
in
in
every,
mind when you
sir,
said?
there were medical practitioners. Traditional medical practitioners were there. Like people, Vishwakarmas were there. Okay. The people may later on mistook it for a kind of caste system. It was not there. The indigenous knowledge system divided people only on the basis of their what? I mean, profession. But unfortunately, people thought that this caste should and all, they mistook it. So there is a kind of misunderstanding which I am not going to deal about. But what I would say is like there in everything, example, be it like making of materials. People are able to make bells, puja items, and all that. People are able to make carpentry. People are able to make clothes. Okay, so in every profession there were some what professionals, and they contributed to the society. And there was no thought of inferiority, superiority, and all that, which actually came much, much, much later. So everybody had, in their own way, contributed to the growth and development of the community. That was the kind of equality we had. That was the kind of professional experience people had with various, I mean, industries and all that. Okay, we didn't have a formal industry, but people had done in their own way. Okay, in those days. Fine, sir.
Just to add on to this, when you said this, what I recall is the Varna system actually had communities taking call fluidly to move into each profession during that time. It was a community call. People
Yeah.
used to assemble, say there is a famine in your place. How are we going to, as a community, address this? So there was one
Togetherness
community.
was there.
Yeah, the people from certain communities choose different professions and moved on to live through the famine. So some people migrated. So all these kind of calls used to be community call. So to come to a specific example, both in Kerala and Tamil Nadu, I understand that there are multiple communities, and in one particular community was known as Vatima community, which was actually into the first Varna, where they used to do all the rituals and other practices. But during the famine, they had to choose what to do next. So they chose to switch to weaving for the next period of famine, and they lived through that as a community, and then again came back to their knowledge sciences and so on.
Are you from
So
Anand Tandavuram?
no, no.
No. Okay.
Uh, I'm from a lot of roots. So, I mean, we trace back to Shankarankoil, but we have links in Kerala and so on.
Okay. Okay.
So, another aspect which I found was there was a set of border sharing communities which migrated to Kerala. And there was a community known as Idava in Kerala, which switched to business. They even negotiated with the Travancore king, saying that we are making so much
It was
revenue
all
for this.
need-based, community-based, sir.
Exactly,
The kind of
exactly.
so
So,
responding to the societal life, people had done their best. They were not
yes,
selfish. They were
but
not really what compartmentalized as today's people and all that. See, they were actually looking at the larger interest of the people and the community, and that was really to be appreciated. And I wish that that trend had continued over the years. We would not have had so many kind of divisions and other social, societal problems and all that. So,
Exactly.
uh,
I think
like,
during the British Raj, I think this complexity was too much for them to handle. So when they did a census, they did assess various profiling on stereotyping into the four varnas. So then the communities lost their
maybe
ability
if
to
you
move
ask a
through.
sociologist, he'll be able to say better
Probably.
than me.
True,
Okay.
true, true. Yeah, better than me too. Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir. Thank you
Thank
very
you for
much.
your input. Excellent, sir. So, in the
Thank you
absence
for
of
your
further questions,
detailing, sir.
yeah. So, in the absence, I thank every one of you for being with me. And untouchability is a crime. So, let us all keep in touch. Thank you. Anybody? Shall we close?
Sir, if you allow me, have one more.
Okay, sir. Sir, tell me.
There are
Make it
many
quick.
nations. You touched upon the integrated medicine aspect, right? So there are many nations now which are opting for that, like Malaysia, like Bhutan, where every public center has both their traditional as well as
We'll have to
allopathic
build up an
medicine.
hybrid medicine culture, sir.
Yeah. So
So, that should
is
emerge as a.
do you see that coming through, sir, already as an
All
integrated system with
academicians
equal
like you
value?
and me should start doing it. See,
Not
formalizing it as a subject, as a discipline, requires input from people like you and me. Unfortunately, we are not getting into it. So, people, allopathic system of medicine people, they are aloof. Ayurvedic people, they are remaining aloof. So, that should not happen. So, one should not having one foot here, one foot there, and all that. It should all be clubbed. Okay, the best elements of from both the system of medicine should get integrated, amalgamized, and then a new discipline should enter, emerge. It will take some time, but it should happen. It will happen. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Shall we close?
Yeah, shall we close, sir? Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.